Welcome to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast with your hosts, Jason Balin and Ian Horowitz.
Welcome to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. Today is Friday, January 7th, and we are definitely time-stamping this podcast and this topic, which might seem to be crazy futuristic to everybody, although this is actually happening. So who knows what we're going to talk about on this show today, but I'm glad that we're documenting all of this. We've definitely got a few special guests that are going to hop here in a second, and we're going to discuss our thoughts about Web 3.0, the Metaverse, digital real estate, and much, much more. We definitely want to hear from the audience as well. If you have any experiences, any thoughts related to digital real estate, if you're involved with it already, if you have some experience or some thoughts on where it's going, we'd love for you to hop on live as well. In a second here, we'll post the link in the comment section. So if you're watching this on Facebook, however you're watching this, YouTube, whatever platform you're watching or listening, and you want to hop on, we definitely would love to have you, along with some of the other guests that we're going to bring here in a second. So Ian, give me a little rundown of your thoughts. Are you buying into this whole virtual, digital, real estate world?
I knew this was a setup. You said, "Oh, we're going to jump on the show. I'm going to give my opinion on it, how great it is." And I've been sitting here touting off why I think this is the worst thing known to man. Some of this might be a personal thing. Some of this might be a realistic investing thing. And some of this might be because I'm stuck in my goddamn box and I might actually officially be old. But since you asked me to go first, I'm just going to go right off the deep end because, well, I do think there's some benefits from the cryptocurrency side of things, of smart contracts, and tokenization of real assets. This whole buying land, this whole going out in the metaverse, and you're going to go buy I was watching a video yesterday. This guy was going to buy a piece of land, but it had to be close to a teleprompter. I'm not a gamer. It's not for me. It's not what I do. I think too many people are wasting time, energy, and effort on this. Yes, I'm giving up an hour of our show to dedicate to talk about this because hopefully someone changes my mind. But in the end, I think this is, I can't get down with it. Maybe it's because I'm not a gamer. I don't understand it. I don't understand how it's going to be beneficial to businesses in the future, why there's so much hyper concentration on it. I might even go down the whole political realm of like how they could just one day turn off what you're worth one day because everything you own is now digital. Like there's a lot of scary shit going on. And I know everyone thinks this is cool, but I relate this exactly to all the guys that are real estate investors. And then one day they're like, "Oh, no, I'm in e-com. Oh, no, I'm in Bitcoin. Oh, no, I'm in this." Dude, I don't know, man. To me, it's easier to concentrate. We all need a place to live. We all need a place to operate. We all need a place to go and eat, do laundry, whatever it is. I still believe in real assets. That's where I stand. Turn the show off. Let's get out of here.
I mean, listen, it's very, very simple. Think about 2 generations ago, your grandfather, your great-grandfather. If he resisted change, think about where they'd be right now. This isn't about if you're buying into this concept or if you're going to be an investor in this concept or a user in this concept. It has to do that this is happening if Ian Horowitz likes it or not, and you're either going to be involved in it or you're not going to be involved in it. Now, time will tell of how detailed and how in-depth this goes. So I wouldn't sit there, we already got this documented. This is on public record right now. I wouldn't go there and be like, "I'm out. I don't want any involvement in it."
And that's the scary part. Some AI piece of technology that lives out in the metaverse or whatever the heck this thing is called could then cancel me because they're like, "Oh, I don't like what you said on this Facebook video." Next, they take all my tokens and all my net worth out of my metaverse story and steal my land. Dude, I'm out, bro. I watched that Real Player One, Red Player One, whatever the hell it was called, that movie last night. I lost brain cells. I know my one guest is coming on here to talk about it, but dude,
did you at least understand the concept? That's the important part.
Yeah, we're fucked. That's what I understand out of this concept. We're fucked as a society.
So there's lots of levels of this, obviously, and it's not going to go from, offline to virtual overnight. It's just not, right? And there's going to be lots of different there's going to be lots of different transitions in that. Right now, a lot of the stuff that we do besides interacting in person is 2D stuff, right? Like we're swiping on Facebook, we're seeing our friends, seeing our family. If we're lucky, we're doing a Zoom call or we're doing a group FaceTime, but that's getting changed very soon. That's going to turn into a lot more 3D stuff, right? We're going to sit at home. We're going to put on our oculuses, or there's going to be some sort of, augmented virtual reality on your phones, and you're going to go like this, and all of a sudden you're going to see somebody at a concert. And we don't have to do podcasts like this. You're going to be sitting with me in my office every day, along with everybody else that's watching or listening to this. We're all going to be next to each other. So that's, I would guess that stuff like that, I think you'd probably be kind of cool with. I mean, if we're all, hooked up to freaking incubators and we're not even real humans, and we're 24/7, we all have our Oculus on, or it's not even Oculus, it's probably nothing at that point. And we're living in this fake reality. I get it. Like, that's pretty extreme, but there's definitely some technological benefits to this meta, if at least in my opinion.
I'm still silent. I'm just going to sit here and listen. Okay, let me be fair, and then we'll bring in some of our guests. But I do believe in tokenization of real estate and using the smart contracts and some of the other things that will benefit us on a business side of things. But the digital creation of who you are and what you are, like, we live in a real world. I have feelings here. I like my feelings here. I don't like how I'm feeling. I fix my feelings in here. I don't need to go to an alternate universe to go be, I don't know, a gender fluid person that wants to have wings with a unicorn thing.
Yeah, but you don't
see what the benefit of it is.
Yeah, but you don't want it, and you don't clearly see the benefit. But unfortunately, it's probably going to push that everybody else is there. What happens if the rest of your office, the rest of your family, the rest of your friends go to that metaverse, right? You're going to go there. It's the same thing. I mean, everyone's going to trade in their watches, their Air Jordans, their clothes, their Equity Warehouse hats, and you're going to have an Equity Warehouse hat on your avatar inside the metaverse, inside your digital land. And, you're going to listen, I'm not stating that I like this or want this. I mean, we're talking about extreme stuff. So, all right, let's bring in Glenn Eunice real quick. Let's start with him. Glenn, tell everybody about yourself real quick and just start spitting some opinions out.
All right. Well, do I need to tell everyone about myself? Nope. Everyone knows who I am.
Yeah, Glenn, skip to the opinions because we know that's what you're
famous
here for.
Person. What do you do to tell everyone who you are? If they don't know who I am, that there's a Google for that. Okay, first off, we need to set the table with what we're talking about here. Is you guys are real estate investors and high-level ones, and I love, first-time caller, long-time listener. Appreciate you having me on your show. I think setting the table of there's this meta universe out there, okay? And there's going to have users, and what we're talking about is the acquisition of land in the metaverse, and is that a worthwhile investment for real estate investors? And then the topic evolves into how long does it take for our society to adopt en masse this metaverse, okay? So that's really what we're talking about here. And I'm somewhere between Jason and Ian. I can very easily see this thing going mainstream in maybe 100, 150 years. Forget how long, maybe it's 20 years, okay? I also agree with Ian that we need to live in the real world to have some real sort of connection to ourselves. We need to be strong enough to not run away from our issues and say, I had a bad day, or I'm pissed off at my wife, or my daughter threw a temper tantrum real life this morning at 8 o'clock because she wanted a lollipop and I wouldn't give it to her. So instead of dealing with that in the real world, I'm going to throw on these goggles and go ahead and attack in the metaverse and sort of band-aid my feelings. Agree with all that. Doesn't mean shit because it's happening and people are going to do it. Doesn't mean it's right for you, Ian, but here's the end of this. Here's the real world application of this today. We're all stuck home with the pandemic, political issues aside. It's not nationwide. It's not Republican, Democrat. It's worldwide, okay? Whether we're overreacting or underreacting, that's where we can have opinions. The fact of it is today, we are sitting home, all of us in our homes or in our home offices, and we're remote, okay? In a real world, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, any of these investment firms, they have assistants and traders, and everyone needs to be communicating. And are they on Zoom all day long? Yeah, maybe they are. Are they in chat all day long? Yeah, maybe they are. You know what they're not? They're not sitting at a desk next to each other, bouncing ideas, fucking around, making sure that their minds are melding, going to get coffee together. Hey, you know what? I got to get away from my computer. Let's go walk down to the kitchen and get a coffee and see where our brain is. And in the metaverse, a company doesn't need 10,000 square feet at $170 a square foot in Midtown Manhattan. Everyone can be in their homes, in their offices, at their beach, in their bed, on their couch, in the metaverse, at the office, doing exactly the same thing that makes them the most productive with being camaraderie and in an office, but doing it virtually. And I think that's the real world application of where the metaverse goes right away. Buying real estate in the metaverse, you got to pick the right world. You got to make sure that the right corporate backers are into that world so other people will buy it. I'm not into NFTs. I understand it a little bit. I know people are making real money. I'm not really a Dogecoin fan. I think that's bullshit. I understand you can ride the wave. Big picture, I don't think that stuff's an asset yet. I do understand decentralized monetary systems and the importance of that potentially. And I also understand that governments aren't going to do that with fiat currency. They're going to make their own China coin and US coin, and then they're going to be able to monitor everything. And I don't really love that heavy-handedness. But this is the fuck where we're going. That's the rant. I can keep going, but that's enough for you guys to chew on.
And I guess that's where the question is. And to be fair, I do understand how business, like technically we're living in some sort of digital universe right now, broadcasting this show.
Yeah.
The future of not having meetings and seeing Glenn and bro hugging it out in person versus bro hugging it out.
I need that. I need that human connection personally.
And that's where I start to go, well, what's right? What's wrong? I have no clue. This doesn't make any sense to me. And the thing that resonated with me the other day that really, it actually kind of set me over the edge to say I'm rooting myself on the opposite side of this is Jason's like, well, I could own a golf course in the metaverse and then I could have my 10 friends and we can go golfing. I'm like, yeah, but Jay, we go golfing now and we're in person and we have a drink and we enjoy ourselves. Like, that doesn't seem enjoyable to me to throw on some goggles and go golfing. I'd rather go golfing.
Yeah, but this isn't this or that. This is...
That's right.
This isn't like, hey, we're not hugging anymore. We're not doing this anymore. I mean, this is making life potentially easier.
So, Jay, I think and that's, I think, a good point. It's not this or that yet. You could fast forward to, let's just split the middle and call it 50 years. Man, that's 50 years too short. 100 years.
50 years probably accurate.
I mean,
a long time ago. Think about where we were 50. Think about where society was 50 years ago.
Yeah, they barely had color. They barely had color TVs and no remote controls.
Shit moves quick.
It does.
That snowball is humongous.
I mean, it was 8-track tapes and it goes fast. But if you take this out all the way to the end of the worst case scenario, yeah, we could have AI running human farms just so they have users to play in their metaverse. And that's scary shit, right? Where we're just hooked up to IVs and ping. Or the middle ground of that is this Ready Player One movie, which I think is spot on, a Steven Spielberg movie. It's not... Gaming is the vehicle, Ian. It's not about gaming. It's literally an alternate universe. And it was, I think, in Cleveland, which, apropos city, no offense to anyone from Cleveland, but a bunch of trailers stacked on each other, right? And people just living in their trailer, living in the metaverse, bawling outrageous, living in their trailer in real life, driving a Mercedes in their metaverse. By the way, a lot of people do that in the real world now, Ian. Living in their trailer, driving a Mercedes. So they're play pimping just like they do in the metaverse. So I can see it happening where, yeah, maybe we're not hooked up to IVs and catheters and the AI is just running human farms like the Matrix so they can have users in their metaverse, although that's not super far-fetched, which is scary to say in 150 years. But what I do think is that we have people living in one-bedroom apartments that barely ever leave, that order their groceries, right? That piss and shit and have internet and basically live in the universe 75% of their day.
Yeah, maybe that's what's scary to me because maybe despite all this big burliness that I do care about people and it's scary to me. I think human beings are supposed to be interactive and we work and we thrive off of that.
Yeah.
I think that's what scares me about it. I want to ask you, and actually anybody that wants to jump on, we have the link on wherever you're watching this. If you have something to comment about this, feel free to click on the link. And if we got time, we'll try to get you in here and discuss your thoughts on the Metaverse. We do have a few other guests that we're bringing on, but Glenn, you are a sports guy.
Yeah.
That's where you came from. That's your background. Do you see the NFL getting away from true hard hitting and going to, we're watching, guys are playing literally Madden and that's what we're watching? Like, I know Twitch is a real thing.
Mean, no, not for the time being, but what I do see a version of that is, and it's so funny because I think I talked to Jason about this 8 months before the pandemic. It was just a thought that I had, and I actually pitched it to my buddy at Verizon because that was when their 5G was coming out a couple years. I had an opportunity to see a demo of 5G like 3 years ago, and it was ridiculous, right? A private thing at the Super Bowl a few years ago before the pandemic. And it made my brain spark immediately that, oh God, we're not going to have actually real butts and seats anymore. I think the players will be real, but you want a sideline seat to the Wizards game right now? Like, okay, cool. Go spend $3,000. Go sit courtside. Go maybe get COVID. That's cool. Or throw on your goggles and sit courtside. And by the way, from a team standpoint, you can have an infinite amount of courtside seats and just sell. And so where I think the next level of going is virtual seats in a real stadium, right? Because all you got to do is put a few cameras up in the right place. So that's where I think that goes. But to your point about humans touching and feeling, and you're a big bear and you care about people, there's nobody that resonates more with that. I need human contact. I thrive off the energy. I like big cities. When I get off the train in New York, when I go up there it's like I suck everyone's energy and it empowers me. I need that. By the way, in meetings, I'm able to judge people based on their face and based on their energy. I can read people. It's one of my superpowers, and I don't have many. Eating's another one. And I'm a great eater. And I'm going to eat here shortly, and it's going to be great, and I'm going to win. I win all the time when I eat. But feeling out people in person, understanding who they are, being able to look in their eyes and sort of seeing what they're thinking, that's a big deal, and that's all wiped away in the metaverse. So I don't want to sit here and say, Ian, I disagree with you greatly. I understand exactly where you're coming from, and I probably lean more in the real life to what you think about metaverse than what I'm saying. But the only reason I'm so heavy on understanding, it makes so much sense. It's so right in front of us, and it's going to happen whether we indulge in it or not. Now, whether we can make money in the metaverse real estate, I don't know, maybe, because it's this new thing and it's exciting and people are going to throw dumb money into it. Maybe you can catch it while it's hot, or maybe you get totally burned because some random developer doesn't know how to develop it's all fucked up. It's like a mix of Inception and The Matrix and Ready Player One. I mean, you need engineers and architects just like you do in the real world, and then they build it out, but you need UX and UI designers too. I mean, it's too much. I have enough trouble keeping my fucking website alive. How am I going to build a whole universe in I
do have one question for you. If you did make your perfect avatar, would you change your hair? Because you got a great comment about your hair. Would you take that right onto your avatar?
Yeah, I mean, I used to dye my hair when I was young. I've been gray since college, right before college. So, and I used to dye my hair. And then when I hit 30, I was like, which only a couple years ago, I was like, fuck it, I'm not dyeing my hair anymore. And then I did it like one more time, and I was like, whatever. At this point, now that I'm, into my early 40s plus, I don't care. So yes, I would carry the gray into it. But
there you go.
I would just say to you and Jason, don't be jealous.
We are. All right, let me add something to this. Let me add something to this, and then we're going to bring on another guest as well, and Glenn can stick around until he has to leave. But I mean, keep in mind, and I'm not stating that I'm a believer of this or agree with all this.
Yeah.
I just am very realistic that this is coming. If anybody likes it or not, it can still hit multiple senses, right? There's ways to. Technology can make you hit multiple senses, and then all of a sudden, think about this. You like hugging somebody. Well, you might not like hugging one person as much as you like all the other crazy senses that your eyes are seeing and hearing and potentially feeling as that.
I buy a little bit of that.
That'll overcome him.
I buy a little bit of that.
It'll overcome it. You're addicted to, if someone's addicted to swiping on Facebook, now all of a sudden, like, you turn your phone like this, and I'm right here, you're right there. Like, it's like, well, maybe I don't need to hug anymore.
I'm going to get Ian the vibrating ball shocker. So when he sits in his chair, like, he sits on it and it, like, tickles his balls.
Yeah, well, that's a totally different story. I can get down with this whole metaverse.
so
maybe the problem is the word meta. Maybe
are you calling it that? It's meta. Are you saying it's funny?
I don't know.
I mean, that's not even a Philly accent. That's just pronouncing it wrong.
I literally watched the Gary V. Zuckerberg one, and he's like, I had to practice saying the word meta Meta, whatever the heck it is, and I still can't get it right.
All right. Well, all right. We're gonna bring one other thing, because I think our next guest has a little bit of experience with the actual real estate side of things, based on a post that I saw him type yesterday. So, but related to that, I mean, listen, you can either understand this concept, you can be an investor in this digital real estate concept, or you can just be a user. I would guess, because we're kind of chicken when it comes to stuff.
Totally.
I mean, potentially investing in this is like investing in the internet in the 80s or whatever it is. Like, we all talk about, hey, at what price point will you buy lots and lots of Bitcoin, right? Like, the psychology of money comes into place.
So would you buy land in the metaverse, or would you buy into an ETF of metaverse land? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, I understand the concept, and here's the thing: just like everything else, you need users and you need viewers and followers in order to do that, right? Because all of a sudden you have a developer and they buy this really sick plot of land that looks like it's on a mountain.
Sick plot of land? They're making it up. Yeah. It's not a sick plot of land. You make it a sick plot of land. What are you talking about?
They develop it, but the problem is it can be as sick as you want, but if no users go there or nobody goes there, that's fine. I mean, think about just in the U.S. alone, how the really, really cool destination spots, some of them are a bust because they can't create. I mean, we're using the techie terms like users and followers instead of just people and humans, because that's really what it is. But it's the same thing. Do you all of a sudden be like, you know what? I don't need this big ass $500,000, 5,000 square foot house anymore because nobody comes to my house because I live in the metaverse.
Well, what happens if?
Wait. So hold on one sec. So I say, I'm going to trade that in because I don't need it. And I'm going to buy this sick plot of land because all of my virtual friends and all of my whatever, the people I don't really know in real life, want to have a cool house party. And I have a lot of money because I'm an early adapter, and they all hang out and we put on our oculuses and we kick it there every day. And that's what if AI supply and demand?
But here's what happens if AI gets to the point, which it will, and it probably already is there, that it has, we know them as bots, but there'll be fake users moving around in this metaverse as well as, because we can't tell, as well as we do, or close to as well as we do. And so we have a fake amount of users in our fake metaverse, and we think we're monetizing it, but those bots aren't really buying anything or doing any sort of digital metaverse commerce, and all of a sudden you didn't buy the sick land, you had to develop it and make it up because it's fictitious, it's infinite space, and now you're sitting on this fake plot of awesome land with nobody in it but bots.
Well, that's the risk that these
or you have a bot of militias come in and beat up all your users virtually. I mean, there's an infinite amount of, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, but agreed, but it's the same thing to be like, it's the same thing as us living in the DC area, going out to the middle of nowhere, Central Maryland, and all of a sudden developing a new community first.
I mean, when we grew up outside of DC, Aaron, we all grew up in the same area. When we grew up outside of DC, maybe you did, I didn't. Did you know about Howard County where Jason and I live? Like, did you know about Howard County back then? I thought that was like
up there. That's
middle of
all the corn-fed girls up in Howard County.
Yeah.
He was a few years younger, so he might have known.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think I've ever been to Howard County until I don't know. I mean, I just you knew Baltimore and you knew DC, and that was really it.
Those are places you came from. That's what place you came from because you had everything we needed in our area. Yeah. But look, here's how it breaks down: is humans have Neanderthal tendencies, but they have technological advancements. So we're trying to fulfill all of our needs and wants with unrealistic, fake world. So I mean, this is going to be part of our future. I don't like it. I think it's weird. We all come from a generation where the internet was just starting to bloom when we were kids, virtually. And then now all of a sudden there's going to be a fake universe in conjunction with a real world. So the people are actually buying and selling and making real money in these things. So what happens with these properties? So the government's already looking at how I can tax the sales of these properties. So you use crypto to buy a property, and then you put the crypto back in your wallet, and then you sell the crypto for real cash, and then Uncle Sam takes his cut from it. Like, there's real money being moved around. And the IRS is looking at taxing these.
I mean, if you sell the crypto,
positions. Yeah, if you don't sell the crypto, then it's not a big deal. But then you look at other options like Nike and Marlboro and a couple other big name companies are buying big lots in Metaverse because they want to be in there because they can sell more product with crypto in Metaverse in a different world. So there's already a downtown New York City being developed. There's already forest being developed there, so you can have the experiences of a forest. So I'm with Ian. Like I like seeing my buddies and like feeling a golf club in my hands. No homo, no pause. Like I like being able to do like things that like real world experiences.
Yeah.
But nowadays, we had this conversation yesterday at a meetup that we did in College Park. We how do I say this? We're moving into a world where it's acceptable to identify as something else.
Yeah.
That's the most PC way I can say it.
Yep.
So if you want to identify as a unicorn or a bear or Puff the Magic Dragon, you can go in this universe and you can identify as that thing, and it's totally acceptable. Whereas here, it's not. So you go to Comic-Con and you see all these people identifying as whatever in their signature comment boxes. Like that's normalized now. So what's the next step? Letting them have their own space or normalizing that space for everybody to use.
So when people say go, I wish you'd go back to your island. We're making them an island.
We're making them an unrealistic island.
Yeah, I mean, there's a deeper, Aaron. I think that's well said and awesome. In the crypto and there's an interesting play for people to build their own environment to then use their own money in it. Forget the gender thing and all that, so that's an interesting thing. But take that aside and go back to sort of the gender thing and the identification. And I think it's a bigger scope that's wrong with our society is that, look, people are born a certain way and they don't feel that and they change their identity or they change their sexuality and all that. And like, that's a realistic thing. But the idea that let's just say that a person was born a boy, they identify as a woman, and now they compete against women in a sport, that's fucking garbage. Because genetically, they're built different, and they're stronger, and it's just what it is. I can't give birth, okay? Like, I can't. It's just how it works, okay? Boys are built different than girls. That's not a radical statement. It's just what it is. And there's different muscle structure. And, again, not a radical statement.
What rabbit hole are we going down, Glenn?
There's no rabbit hole. We have gotten to a point in society that we allow what is real and what are facts to be distorted.
Yes.
This metaverse, right? Because boys can't compete against girls in certain sports. It doesn't work. It's not a radical thought. It's just we're built different. Having the escapism, like Ian said, of a metaverse to pacify what is maybe a loud minority now. I want people to feel and do whatever they want, but we need to have, I really do. I don't give a shit. Pay your taxes, leave me the fuck alone.
Right.
But, and I mean that, and I'm happy for people to identify with whatever they want and however they want, but there has to be barriers and borders to that. And if they can't have that in this world, they'll make a new world. Cool. Whether it's real estate investing metaverse or whether it's office space metaverse or whether it's escapism metaverse, I get it's coming down the pike. But we as a society worldwide need to have a conversation about where our limits and our boundaries and our reality is, because we're at the precipice right now of shit getting way out of hand with what is reality and what is invented.
So Elon Musk actually came out and said that AI is getting to the point where it's dangerous. This is paraphrasing. So when Elon Musk comes out and says they need to pull the reins back in this thing, it's getting dangerous. And I looked into it a little bit, and if you just a quick Google search on YouTube and look up, what's his name? The actor with the very, very deep voice, the black guy.
James Earl Jones?
No.
Barry
played
White?
God in one of the movies. I can't think of his name.
Morgan Freeman?
Morgan Freeman. So there's a video of Morgan Freeman, and he's saying, he's like, I am not a real person. I'm AI.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
You've seen that? Yeah. So, like, that's going to be our future. Like, it's going to be easy to fake things digitally and make.
They already have it. I mean, they already
back the sheet in this whole thing. Like,
they already do it with video, too. The technology with video, being able to take, like, a compilation. They did this on 60 Minutes a few months ago. Being able to take a video of all of Tom Cruise's movies, AI can take that and basically make Tom Cruise say and do whatever he wants.
Yeah. So you can create real looking people who can say and act and respond with the AI technology. I posted a link last night on my Facebook page and the group where it says, like, it has somebody talking, responding to an AI bot. So there, I mean, it's not 50 years from now. It's like 5 or 10 or now. It's not unrealistic. So this is all about money. Like, they're creating an entire new system and new world who's going to benefit from it? It's the rich people who already have who are invested or getting in early. This is not going away. It's not going to fold. Yes, is it a gamble? Yeah, but with the amount of backers, who's going to benefit? The government's going to be able to tax this. The rich are going to get richer off this. This isn't going away.
Well, let me ask you a question. Well, mate, I don't necessarily fully agree with that. I mean, there are some good concepts that you stated. Have you invested in any NFTs yet, any crypto yet, or any digital land yet?
Crypto, yes. Digital land, no, because I don't think I don't like things that are not tangible assets. I'd rather own the land that they're playing the video games on, which is also one of the reasons I've been looking at smaller square footage real estate, because I think that's going to go to be the new trend in the next couple of years.
Very interesting.
Do you? And I agree, and I won't be an early adapter on this stuff. I would like to, but like I just don't have the balls to do it, unfortunately. But I do believe.
Same.
There's so much speculation, right?
So
I believe that there's going to be tons of value in digital real estate. The problem is there's lots of platforms, and each platform needs a user or needs users, tons of users. And right now it's just like, a JPEG that you can sell for $200,000. That's just fake. It's supply and demand. It's the same thing with land. It's like, hey, we're all jumping in. We're gonna develop this crazy world, and who knows? Maybe nobody will buy in.
But also I'll say what you guys have always preached for years and years talking real estate is like invest in what you know and where you know.
Yeah.
What in the fuck do you guys know about the metaverse right now?
Nothing.
What does anybody know about it?
Nobody knows
about it. It's such a new thing. It's an evolving thing. We can make it.
Well, the people that know about it are the ones that are actually creating it from scratch and have the money to make mistakes and develop it. And actually the brands, like you mentioned, Aaron, driving users there and being able to just, hey, let's throw $15 million at it and sit on it for 3 years and see what happens. Nike can, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah. For us, it's gambling. That's just what it is. And
have you guys actually put an Oculus on?
Well, it'd be blind gambling.
Have you guys actually put an Oculus on and tried it yet?
Not recently, but a couple years ago, yeah.
Okay, so one of the guys brought one of the ones to the firehouse, right? And we played a boxing game and we played a zombie killing game. And they videotaped it, and it was hilarious to watch me do it. It was very amusing. One of the guys ended up punching the wall because he didn't know where he was going in the game. You're in there and the handheld remote is shaking when you stab somebody. They've already developed like a suit that you can feel it'll vibrate. Like this is going to be into like the adult toy category where you can have like sexual experiences there. Like this is going to branch out multiple different ways. So I actually started a couple Instagram NFT pages that I haven't funded yet. I just got the names going, so I'll have a place to promote it. So am I going to do it? Maybe. I mean, how can we make money off of this? Maybe I'll go on like Upwork and I'll hire somebody to create digital files for me, and I'll upload it to the Instagram and then try to sell them as NFTs. That way we automate the system. Like there's got to be a way for us as the little guy to make money on this deal.
Are we not? I got to run in a minute. Pete just made a comment. Are we not allowed to cuss on here? Because I've been cussing up a storm. I'm sorry.
On my feed, you can do whatever you want. I mean, Hard Money Bankers, they got an image to uphold. So
I'm sorry, Jay.
Who we got now? Oh, screen share.
Oh yeah, Jay.
Oh
back
man,
in the day.
I remember that video.
What's the date on that?
19, January 19.
Jan 25, 2019.
All right, so picture now you have your olfactory senses. Like you can see what's going on around you. Imagine putting gloves on, which are already out there. There's a guy in Colombia up by your office, Jason, who developed gloves that you can actually feel and move, and then add a vest onto it.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's there.
The point is I'm not trying to fight momentum. I know it's there. And it's developed a lot more than any of us think or know. It's there, and that's where everything's going. And the point is I'm not trying to fight it. I'm not trying to resist it. I'm not stating that I want to be involved in it, but I'm not going to have a choice, just like you're not going to have a choice and Ian's not going to have a choice.
Yeah.
Glenn's right, though. Like, this is going to skew the lines of what's acceptable and not acceptable and normal and abnormal. And like, this is create a whole nother rift in our society.
Yeah, and and you synced up my thought. I didn't say it maybe as clearly, and I went off on tangents. Maybe it offended people. I wasn't trying to be offensive, and I was trying to frame out sort of the facts of things. But Aaron, that's spot on. It's gonna blur the lines, not just of reality versus virtual, but also what's acceptable and what's doable and what's reasonable. I don't know.
I'm not a video gamer, so I don't play these games. But
Nor am
I've seen kids that do, and like the things they can get away with on the video games that they're playing on like PlayStation or Xbox, I'm like they can't get away with that in the real world. So what's the next step? Let's make a real world a real world metaverse where they can get away with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ask a 10-year-old their thoughts on this topic, and they're going to be more advanced than ours. Like our parents wouldn't agree with this. Our grandparents would never agree with this. Obviously, they won't get it. And if we keep this as a real estate focused conversation and an investing focused conversation, like forget the crazy scariness. It's early. You got to be an early adopter. You have to buy into it. I buy into it, but I don't. Even if I wanted to invest in digital land, I don't know if I can make an educated enough decision to pay in real dollars, pay with Dogecoin, pay with Ether, pay with Bitcoin. I don't know. I just don't know. It's hard enough to even wrap your brain around what coins potentially should be invested in or what NFTs. I mean, dude, everyone's followed what some of these celebrities are doing with NFTs, either creating them or trading them or auction, whatever they're doing, like hundreds of thousands of dollars for this piece of paper, this contract, this JPEG. That's all it is. It's nothing. And I don't know. It's the whole thing's kind of crazy, but at the same time, like it's reality. And me personally, I'm not going to be an investor in it. I'm going to recognize it. I'll be a user when the time comes. And all four of us in a few years from now have our Oculuses on. We're all sitting at home on our couch, and we're all having whatever, a conversation, playing golf, playing cards, whatever we want to do, right? Kung Fuing. I don't know what we're going to be doing. Whatever we're doing, talking smack about it, and we'll be like, "Hey, man, 5 years ago, we really should have bought, this apartment building in whatever
in Equityville."
Let me leave this with
and we didn't. And I'm not going. And I hope I don't feel bad about it for myself because the fear of missing out is a big freaking thing, and we're all affected by it. But I'm hoping that I'm like, you know what? I couldn't do it then. And it's the same thing with Bitcoin a few years ago, right? Oh, we should have bought Bitcoin a few years ago. In hindsight,
the way my daughter was acting today, I'd love to strap some goggles on her face and strap her to a chair and walk away for 8 hours. But that's not reality either. I got a jam. This was fun, guys. I'll do it again anytime I'm free.
Big
all right, brother. Thank you.
Look, so in real estate terms, we have primary markets. Like DC is a primary market. Baltimore is a primary market. Then you have secondary markets. Metaverse is very similar. All the people who are making the big moves, who are like the big brand names, they're buying in primary markets in the metaverse. So if you want to make money where your metaverse property goes up in value, it's going to be in the primary market. If you're in the outskirts in like no man's land, then it's not going to be worth as much until they start expanding, just like they do in the real world, into that area.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I get it. It makes sense. Where does all this go from here? I personally don't know. There's a lot of like internal stuff that I have to look at to say, well, it might not make sense for me, but it makes sense for someone else, right? But in the end, like, these plots of lands that, like, one of the videos I was watching yesterday, it's not like $100. We're talking about 12, 15.
Oh, it's real money. It's the same price as real life land.
Right. Well, that's what my whole question becomes of, like, if it's that much money, why aren't you investing in real tangible assets that you can see, understand, feel, and how they're supposed to work? It's a very blurred line that I have trouble. And I get it. We're all in on real estate, so maybe that's why it's hard for us when they call it real estate. And it's really just a digital piece of code that you're buying.
Yeah, but that's a logical answer based on all the information in the past that we know right now. Think about this. Aaron, do you know what the price of an oceanfront lot cost in Ocean City, Maryland in like the 40s?
Probably about 20,000, 30,000 maybe, tops.
Way less than that. In the hundreds of dollars. In the hundreds of dollars. Like, why didn't everybody buy it then? In hindsight, it's easy, right? And I know this is a little bit different because we're taking offline and this is more online, but that's just what it is, right? I mean, it's easy. And this is related to the physical asset, Ian, statement.
Right.
To me, I agree with you. We're going to buy a physical asset right now that's going to cash flow, right? Either in a good area or that's going to cash flow. That's just what we're going to do. We're thinking as investors, and we should. It's not going to work for any of us. It just won't. There's no cash flow that comes into these things. It's a long-term play. It's a lot of money. But that being said, the early adapters, the people that are developing these things, the people that are buying into the concept and going all in on them, they're going to go to, trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. I mean, think about years ago, how many people were millionaires and 100 millionaires and billionaires. People are going to just bypass that and get bigger and bigger, 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 bigger. So I don't know. You'd have to be naive if you don't at least educate yourself with this concept. I'm not saying fully understand it, but educate yourself and be open-minded about it, that this exists already and it's coming. Do you want to invest in it? Probably not. Maybe. I don't think I do yet. And I'm not going to, slap myself on the wrist in 5 years from now when I'm buying a plot of land for $100,000 that I could have bought for $3,000 today.
Well, let me give you an analogy in comparison to that. So in the 20s, they didn't have ability to have cars to get to and from the DC area. So they couldn't have people commute to and from. The metaverse is kind of the same thing. Like, they don't have the technology there to have the vest experience or the gloves experience. So when the technology gets there, just like when the cars, evolve and can commute, it's going to grow. It just doesn't make sense to us because it's not a tangible asset.
Agreed. And on what Walter just mentioned, wouldn't there be infinite space in metaverse? Yeah. And there's almost kind of infinite space in the United States. I mean, think about how much undeveloped land there are that humans aren't living in. I'm using like techie terms related to users and stuff, but it's not necessarily about the space. It has to do with who's occupying that space. I mean, think about how many people occupy New York City, and then think about how many people occupy middle of nowhere. I mean, how many New York cities there are in the Midwest, in the middle of nowhere, and there's 100 people there instead of millions and millions and millions and millions and millions. So the metaverse is going to have lots of different areas, but again, the reason this is so speculative is there's lots of different platforms, lots of different developers. Like you said, Aaron, they're developing equivalent to New York City or Times Square or whatever they are, and there's going to be lots of them. I mean, hey, I'm playing golf. I'm going snowboarding. I'm going surfing. I'm doing whatever I want to do. Like, I develop your own. You're living your best life, right? I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. But again, related to real estate and related to economics and related to about making money as an investor, you got to have users, right? You got to know where people are going to be. And the big companies like the Facebooks of the world and the Googles of the world and a lot of these big companies that already have a platform of followers and users will win. I'm guessing, right? Because people are going to be in that platform. I mean, think about it with Farmville that was on Facebook. Like, it only made money because they had tons of users playing that game,
right?
And buying cows or whatever the heck they did there.
Yeah, and I will say, and I've gone down this rabbit hole of, do I believe tokenization of real estate is potentially the future, or real assets is the future? Sure, similar to a ride share program or whatever, you have a digital token, and that represents your ownership in a piece of real estate, or represents your ownership in your share in a boat that you might own with 3 other people, and that digital key allows you to present that you own that piece of that boat, or unlock that boat to go do what you need. I get some of those things, and that makes sense to me, and it makes real estate as an investing platform more liquid by tokenizing it, and that's the piece that I understand. And a lot of like maybe what my and people that are maybe against it is some of it is more of the social aspect, not so much the technology side of it and what it represents and what it does. But a lot of us are looking at this saying, man, like, on a personal level, this is some scary stuff where we're going. And I get, like, the internet wasn't a thing in the 80s or the 90s, and they were talking about it. Everyone's like, yeah, right, yeah, right, yeah, right. Boom, here's the internet. And now we all live, breathe, and do everything on the internet. So, where does all this go? I don't know. Some of the NFT stuff is also scary. Having all this transparent data does become scary, right? Like, they're talking about NFTs and blockchain being able to track and license all the food product that a grocery store buys and decide if it's legal, illegal, how it was paid for, if it was taxed or not taxed. And, I have some trouble going down that wormhole because to me, it's the same as like, you can speed down the highway and that's cool. But if you get caught by a cop, there's consequences, right? Like that's kind of how I view it. But then when they start putting up speed cameras or they're going to track you digitally by your GPS and you have to drive 55 everywhere, that's where it really starts to cross your like personal space. And that's when I get worried about what technology is going to do or not do to all of us as human beings investing. How does it affect our future investing careers? How does it affect real estate? How people live, feel, breathe, touch, and do things in the future?
So I'm gonna. I can sum that up and end unless Aaron wants to add one other thing.
The only thing I'm going to add is that it's potentially in infinite space. Somebody controls how big that's going to be. So if somebody can control the land, they can control supply and demand just like anything else. And then if somebody controls the metaverse, just like the government, they can control what's being built, said, and happening. Just like the post I put up this morning was there was the first sexual assault. So because the person didn't put their safety bubble up, like somebody's controlling, somebody's dangling the strings and making the puppets move. So there's a lot of potential there, but there's also very specific rules that are in place. You don't hear about it because it's not nationally or not recognized yet. It's still being developed.
I mean, what Ian said earlier is happening and will continue to happen. And, you can like it or you can don't like it. And I'm the type of person that I might not necessarily agree with it, but I understand it. And if I got to adapt to go kind of around it, then you do it. I saw a few people posting about this topic on Facebook the other day, and one of them posted, and I 100% agree with this, is keep doing what you're doing and you're going to outproduce 99% of everybody else. Right. So, it's fine, be you, do your thing, do what it's not going to happen all of a sudden overnight. Right. Like if you have a lot of high net worth and you have a lot of cash flow in real estate, maybe that will become less valuable now, but that's okay. Like it's more valuable than somebody that doesn't have it. If we all have to buy digital land in order to, rent, Airbnb digital land, which could exist, right? It's crazy, but it could exist. Then we do it. What's better off, to have no money or to have $1 million in your pocket to start with? It's fine.
In that case, let's just syndicate a metaverse land, Ian.
Dude, I don't understand it. I can't syndicate it. If this is the way of the world, I think me and you are better off going to buy something in the middle of nowhere and having a compound, because I feel like me and Foster could hang out for a while on a nice piece of land. You guys do your digital stuff, and we'll eat real strawberries. We'll eat real beef. We'll eat real stuff.
Shoot real guns.
You don't eat real beef right now. What's changing your mind all of a sudden?
For Foster, not for me.
So you're just going to eat real strawberries.
I'm going to eat the strawberries. He's going to eat the real beef, right? Like in the end.
Yeah, but you don't do that now.
I like life experiences. I've traveled the world. I like doing wild stuff. I'm into investing in stuff that's off the wall. Yeah. This is an off the wall thing.
You could do it better. You could do it easier, better, and cheaper.
Yeah. Metaverse gives you an option to do it faster too.
Yeah. I mean, listen,
Metaverse is Facebook, and then there's like what was the other one? Not Digi.
There's going to be more that pop up just like it, because there's going to be competition for these things. Yeah, so you got to know where to buy, who's buying in them.
Yeah, if you're going to buy this stuff, make sure you know which platform you're buying on, what the background of the developer is.
And listen, this can all go to shit. Like, this might not end up taking off, or it might be, a lot longer. I think realistically, and I after thinking through this, I do worry about commercial space. I do, and not necessarily multifamily and single family and stuff like that, but there could be some office and commercial space that you're worried about, because all of a sudden it's, hey, I have 10 people on my team and we walk into the office every day and we put our oculuses on and we do work together and we're all sitting right next to each other. And
yeah, but in that Ready Player One, they had all the people in there doing their digital stuff, whatever the heck they were doing in some huge warehouse, so he's always going to adapt and overcome to whatever the market is.
Again, this isn't, this is more of like, be aware of it and, make your best decision. All right. So let me end on this. I wish I could give credit to the person that wrote this. but I read this a few nights ago and I wrote it down, and I think it'll resonate. So companies, it was called The Future of the Metaverse. Companies heavily invested in the metaverse are spending millions of dollars convincing consumers that the dawn of the metaverse is upon us. But will it usher in an era of mass adoption and barrier-free digital interaction, or will it just be a niche product reserved for gamers and future tech enthusiasts? Only time will tell. For now, retail investors interested in the metaverse should explore these platforms and consider the metaverse's future value for themselves. And I think that sums up kind of a lot of stuff. You never know. You never know, will this take off? Like, the only people that resonate with this have been gamers, or like it says, future tech enthusiasts. But it will become mainstream, and who's going to adapt and who's not.
I don't disagree. And I'll just leave my last going out point of I worry a lot about government control. I worry a lot about the people that are getting involved in this. I worry about what happens to society in a general term. I get worried about all that stuff. We're human beings. Yeah, we all have a lot of screen time, but man, it feels good when we go out to the creek house, we get on the boat, leave our phones at the docks, and enjoy that time. I have no desire to do that in the metaverse. I have no desire to go golfing. As of this point, that is not for me. I still look forward to the human interaction side of things. And I do have a lot of, just let me leave you with this. You start putting all your money in this digital space, and yes, the government can do it. They can literally go, boom, pull the plug out, and everything is gone overnight.
I mean, they can do that. They can do that now too.
They can do it now too, right? And that's why cryptocurrency for me personally is scary. Look, they pull the plug on, that commercial real estate collapses. At least I still own 2.5
acres. They could withdraw every dollar you have in every one of your bank accounts if they wanted to.
They could. That's why you need cash in your safe.
All right.
But that's all U.S. stuff. Like, you think about it on a global level. It's like, go in there, and instead of having Google Translate, you can have conversations with somebody in real time with somebody across the world. Like, it's going to change interactions.
Dude, I still can't conceptualize that we get on a goddamn cell phone. The fact that we're on the Zoom talking to each other, and like I'm speaking right now, and then you guys hear it real time. Well, I still can't conceptualize.
And this is old technology. And this is
right. I know, it's scary shit. I don't.
All right. Well, I will tell you though that in the metaverse you can have a much better creek house with a better boat, better wave runners, and better everything.
Yeah, but I got to go play a bunch of games to earn my coins first. Right?
I'm going to be a unicorn.
It's the same thing. You're playing games right now. You're working right now to earn money. It's the same equivalent thing.
My player is going to be a unicorn.
Yeah, I was going to say one more thing. My avatar, I'm actually going to have abs for once in my life. I have thought about that.
You don't even need to work. You won't even need to work out.
I know. That's the only thing.
One day you come in, you got a full beard. The second day it's shaved, just like that.
Aaron, and we need to buy some firehouses in the metaverse, and we could sell Brotherhood Buff NFT T-shirts or something. I don't know.
That's actually a genius idea, is to start an NFT for Brotherhood Buffs.
We've talked about it, but I don't get it.
All right, guys. Good show. Later.
All right, boys.
Chat soon.
See you.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Reserve podcast. Do us a favor and like, comment, and share our broadcast. It helps the algorithm and helps us